Welcome, everyone, to the Randy Report. I'm Randy Slavacek, the writer and editor of The Randy Report, a daily blog that covers the current news cycle pertaining to pop culture, entertainment, and politics. Tonight, my guest is Matt Zarley, acclaimed singer-songwriter, who shares with us his latest project, hopefulROMANTIC. What's interesting about the project, though, is just like in life, sometimes you have a first date, sometimes you start down a road, sometimes you look to a new horizon, and you think you're starting in one direction, and by the time you get to the end of the journey, you've gone a completely different place. What started as one musical project became a completely different animal, but found Matt being celebrated around the world in Mumbai, at the Cannes Short Film Festival, here in America, and all over. So here's the first song from Matt's new project, hopefulROMANTIC, and then we'll be talking to him.
My heart's skipping, my mind's tripping. I've played this scene before. Might be crazy, but thinking maybe could this be the one I've been waiting for? Then you turn the corner, nearly lost my breath. Gathered my composure, but when I looked into those eyes, well, that was it. I just knew, I knew, just knew that I loved you. I just knew, I knew, just knew that I loved you.
Matt Zarley, come on down. You're the next contestant on The Randy Report.
Hello, Randy. How are you?
I should talk a little bit about our history. You know, you were obviously a huge favorite on the Candy and Randy show, and you and I have known each other for a long time. You're an award-winning singer-songwriter. We've known that for years. You're People magazine's first openly gay, hottest bachelor, eligible bachelor. You were a big actor on Broadway yourself. You performed in Joe's Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, A Chorus Line, Tommy. But you took all of that experience and you've been winning awards for your recordings for many, many years now. And you had this project, which is a short musical film. Is it a music video? Is it a film? Is it a romantic comedy? Is it a romantic drama? What is it? It's all of those things, right?
It's all of those and a bag of chips.
And a bag of chips.
Expression. And that's like from the 90s, right? The early 90s, is it? And a bag of chips, right?
Because we were there, see?
Exactly. It's pretty much hit on the head. It is pretty much all of those things rolled into one. I've wanted to create a musical experience for a long time, just because of my background, like you just mentioned, and merging all those worlds together, I think kind of freaked me out a little bit. I think I was a little shy about doing it, and when this all came about, when I was starting to write the music for this, and it actually evolved into what it became, it felt like it was a perfect opportunity for me to sort of take advantage of, to sort of investigate that territory that I haven't really investigated, which was create a musical with a narrative. So.
And the distinction there is, like, you've been writing songs for years, and you've been winning awards for them, and 2-time Out Music Award winner. When it came to, and I know that you have had theater producers come to you saying, would you ever be interested in writing a musical for us? I wanted to start with how this whole thing beginning. It's like The Sound of Music. Let's start at the very beginning, a very good place to start. You actually started this project with a completely different tone in mind. This was going to be a very happy pop album because you were in love and things were great. You had written one song already, the music video, Somebody for Everybody, and you'd done the video, you had the single, and then something happened, and it changed the course of everything that led to this film.
I was in a relationship at the time, and Somebody for Everybody was really inspired by this relationship I was in, honestly, and it was sort of an homage to that time in my life. Expanding upon that idea, I wanted to do a collection of a 5-song EP about being in love and how great life is and happiness, yeah, and sort of the whole idea in terms of the sound for that project was going to be very Colby Calais, very sort of beachy summer, top down, driving down to the beach, and just very, very happy, carefree kind of collection of songs. And that's how I started this project initially. A few weeks into that process of writing these new songs, my relationship ended. abruptly and without really any warning, and it caught me off guard. And it was really sort of hard for me to sort of access my emotions honestly in that moment to finish these songs in the way that I wanted to. I wrote a song called Constantly the week that we ended our relationship, and it was one of those things I sort of sat down and I just, in a stream of conscious kind of way, I wrote this song, and that song really was the catalyst to rethink the whole trajectory of the entire project and the direction that I wanted to go in, and what story I wanted to tell ultimately. That was sort of the beginning of that change.
And you were at this point, though, it was still going to be an EP or an album.
It was still likely going to be just an EP. The visual stuff I hadn't even really thought about yet. I knew I did not want to have any sad songs on the album initially, and I knew I didn't want to have like any power ballads. I wanted it to be sort of a mid-tempo kind of, mid-tempo jam kind of happiness, kind of vibe.
Uh-huh.
And my producing partner and writing partner, Andy Zula, who I worked with for many years, when I sent him the Constantly demo, he just said to me, he said, "You need to rethink the direction of this album, I think, because this is I think one of the strongest things you've ever written, and this needs to go on it."
Yeah.
So if that means rethinking the whole direction, then maybe that's what you should do.
At one point, you did a really successful Kickstarter campaign to kind of fund a project that you thought now it was going to segue into. You were going to do, if I remember correctly, 3 songs and 3 music videos that were separate, but if you put them together, they were going to tell a story. That was kind of the next step in the evolution.
Yeah. The idea was I was writing these songs, and I knew that I was always thinking ahead and like, hey, what do I want to do with this in terms of marketing and visually, and obviously the video element is a big part of any artist's music career. It's become a very, very big part of mine over the past couple of years. Just with some videos that I've done that got a lot of attention. I wanted to do something that was unique and different. So I thought, well, why don't we do this? Why don't we tell a story? It'll be a narrative. It'll be a single narrative, and we'll tell it as a trilogy. So there'll be 3 parts to it. So I'll pick the 3 songs that sort of encompass that whole story as best I can. And so that was sort of the idea initially, and I did a Kickstarter to sort of help facilitate that because it was going to be expensive. And in that same process, I reconnected with Ben Pollack, who directed my Trust Me music video. And he, ironically, out of the blue, just contacted me and said, "What's going on with you? I miss you. Let's talk," and whatever. And I said, "Oh, I just finished a song here. Take a listen." And literally within like 20 minutes, I had get an email back. He said, "I'll direct this video for free, so let's meet."
Wow.
So
yeah.
That's when that whole started. He loved that song, and then we met, and then I told him my idea about the 3 music videos. He loved it. And then as time evolved and I was continuing writing the songs, as any writer, when they're creating something, they fall in love with what they're creating usually because it's part of an extension of what their emotions are and where they're at, mentally and emotionally and whatever. So of course I was getting really attached to all these songs I was writing. And I thought, well, why don't we work a little bit of this song into the story, and then a little bit of this song could sort of bridge that gap. And before I knew it, all the songs were in some shape or some form a part of this whole musical film. Basically, is what it became. It became a short film, and that's when Ben was like, "I think this is going to be a short film and not a music video situation." I said, "Yeah, but what I want to do is I want to be able to break apart each song in each video element and have it be able to stand on its own 2 feet without having any sort of knowledge of what the narrative is. I want to prove a point that you can have a pop song tell a theatrical story without, you don't need it to be one or the other. It can be both. It can stand by itself, or you can put it in context of the whole thing, and it works in the context of a musical." So that was my big, big mission with this whole project was that. I'm really very, very proud of how that turned out. I mean, because I think you do break apart each song, and you can kind of you can get into it. It's not like, wait, what's going on? What's happening? They all sort of stand on their own as a little movie within themselves. So that's how it all began.
You took these songs that you wrote and you adapted them very smartly into a movie musical, but the songs are so good. So when you released the songs, you didn't just have the soundtrack version. Correct me if I'm wrong. You actually wrote the songs. Oh, I may be wrong. I'm not sure. Let me ask the question. You wrote the songs as songs first and then adapted them to the storytelling? Because what I'm getting to is there were actually 2 versions.
Yes. Now, when we were going into production on the film, there were 2 songs that I knew that we were going to cut. that we were going to edit somehow for the film. I knew that going into it.
Okay.
And that was Let Me Let Go, which was originally a duet that I do with Jeb Havens, which I knew would not work in the full context, would not work in the film. But the chorus itself, in a different context, works beautifully, I think, for the story. So I knew going into that was going to be the case. And then in Hopeful, which is the last song in the film, the whole first part of, like the first third of the song, is basically a recap of what I just went through in the film. Well, we don't really need to hear a recap because we just saw it. So, it's not like a mini series we need to recap. 2 days ago we just saw it. We get it. So I thought, well, let's cut all that. We don't need to say that. We already saw it. So that song I knew was going to be cut pretty dramatically. So going into that, those two were going to be cut. Yeah, and they're rethought a little bit in terms of, like, I moved some lyric lines around, like maybe from the first verse into the second. I did some finagling too to make it work a little bit more seamlessly in the film context. And then when it came to I Just Knew and Constantly, we shot both of those songs in their entirety. I didn't really have any intention of cutting those two songs shorter because I felt like they established the story in a very – it felt very complete having, like, all of I Just Knew in the film initially, because I needed to get I needed to get sort of the sense of this relationship that this guy was in, and I didn't feel like cutting it down to shorter was really going to be able to do that. I was wrong. It actually worked a lot better shorter within the film, and it really sets the tone for the pace for the whole thing. So that became important that we did cut that in half, but by the time we got into post production, but. And then Constantly, I was really, like, down to the wire that we're not cutting any of the song, we're not cutting any of it, we're not cutting it. And I said, you know what, let's just, by that point, I was like, let's just see what it feels like if we cut it shorter. And we cut it shorter, and it actually plays stronger as well within the context of the story. So that was very, very invaluable for me as a writer and producer, and as an artist too, to not be married to what I had done originally. And I really was not. So that was great.
You knew what you wanted to say initially with the song, and then you knew what you wanted to say now as a filmmaker. Did it pain you to, like, cut something, or did you just see it?
No, because I think if you were to ask me in the beginning of the process, I would say, oh, we're absolutely not cutting that. But by the time I got into everything and I was so involved in the post production. I mean, I went through all of the footage myself and time coded every moment. Down to the second, and what different beats and different accents. I mean, I looked at everything we had, and I knew the story that I wanted to tell, and I knew that it was going to be more efficient, more economical, and more impactful to cut these songs down, because it's just going to. I didn't want the audience to be rolling their eyes in their seats. When is it going to be over? I want them to want more when it's over, and I think we achieved that, and I feel like it because the story is told in a sort of music video approach, so it's quick and the edits are quick. That we have to stay on that path, and I think by having these shorter versions, I think it's just much more impactful, I think, for the story, and it does me more favors at the end of the day anyway. So that's why I decided to release two versions of the music.
To hear them in the movie and then to hear the full context of the songs later is very interesting, and plus, I just think that's probably a very musical, this is musical film, but a musical theater writer probably goes through the exact same thought process of, oh, I really love this song I wrote, but I have to serve the piece.
For sure. I mean, first and foremost, that was the most important thing. And that really was the most important thing to me as well, because I knew that this was an opportunity for me to show my capabilities in another way that people haven't seen before. And so by me, getting so hung up on whether or not we have this verse or this chorus in the song, it's going to be so pointless and moot if the whole thing doesn't play well, because I have my own ego, So I guess in the end it does come down to my ego anyway, because it's like, well, it's about how well I want it to come off in the end anyway.
Right.
It was so valuable for me to experience that, because I really learned that part of myself, which I'm so happy I'm not one of those people that gets so hung up on it, and I really wasn't. And it wasn't a struggle really at all. I was like, okay. And once, like I said, once I got into the post-production phase of this project myself, and was seeing how things were playing every step of the way, I knew what needed to be done. So it was very, very educational for me. So very grateful for that.
Well, we're talking so much about the music. Let's play some of it. This is going to be Constantly, which was the first song that was actually the kickoff for the film, and then the song Back to You, and Let Me Let Go, which you duet with. This is the acoustic version with Jeb Havens, not the version from the film. So, and we'll talk more about that, about how that happened too. But let's listen to some of the music from hopefulROMANTIC.
If it's true that time will heal all wounds, then when will it start? When will it start? 'Cause I've been bound at the same place that I cannot escape. Let go of my heart. Let go of my heart. Even though it's foolish, yes, I already know. I just can't let you go. But if you ever recognize me, I beg you, please, no, don't look at me. I don't want you to see. Oh, I never want to show you just how I'm dying for you. So just turn away, so you won't hear me say how I'm making for you, or how my heart is breaking constantly. Hey, yeah. Why do they say that it takes two? What do they know? It had nothing to do with you. I was the one who was so blind. Everything that I needed was here all the time. Do you believe in new beginnings? 'Cause we could have a happy ending. Well, I know that this won't be easy. Believe me when I say I had to go so far away to find my way back to you. I had to lose a part of me to make me realize the truth. Yeah, I know the journey was worth the fall. I know that much is true. 'Cause every road leads me on back to you. Keep on. I know it's hard to cry when your heart's not really in this. Can we say goodbye? And this time really mean it. We both know it's you and me. We've been holding on so patiently. I know that I can't do this on my own. I need you. I'll always love you. But let me let go. Just let me let go.
When you released the songs, you, as we mentioned before, you did the soundtrack versions, you did the pop versions, but you also did acoustic versions of the songs, and you've released these on iTunes. By the way, everyone go to iTunes and search Matt Zarley, Zarley, and you find that I found when you shared these acoustic versions of the songs, I love that last song, by the way. You know, I'm a huge fan of you and Jeb Havens working together. The acoustic versions almost revealed even more about the songs.
Well, I don't know too if it's because I'm singing them from a different perspective at this point, and I've also lived with the songs much longer now.
That's interesting. Yeah.
So when I recorded the other songs, they were somewhat new, and I had never performed them. I hadn't really. They weren't, as a part of me as they are now. Whereas like seeing them now, and they're easier for me to sing and they're more in my body. Like that could be part of it too. And I think too, when you have something that you've created and you've had a little bit of time to step away from it and then come back, you kind of approach it. You're seeing it from sort of fresher eyes and fresher ears. You know what I mean? I know, like, Back to You, more, which you played, the acoustic version to me, I really appreciate the song, I think, more acoustically. I just think I think the song is, I love the song in the film and on the album, but I feel like the acoustic one I even like more because I love the melody so much for that song and the hook, and I don't know, it really sort of drives it home a lot more, like you said, when you hear the acoustic version, because that's just the guitar, and it's one guitar and my voice, that's it.
You know what's interesting about that is because I knew the original version, and then when I heard the acoustic version, for me, what impacted me was the lyrics. Suddenly, I heard with fresh ears almost. It was suddenly I was hearing these lyrics, going, "Wow, no wonder this tells the story so well."
When you strip something down, when you do an unplugged version or something, that's kind of what you're going for. Is you want people to really get an essence of really what the melody obviously is, and lyrically, more importantly, the story you're telling. So I'm glad you had that. I'm glad that had that effect.
Oh, it was really like almost a revelation, because I love the pop versions already, and they're like fully produced, and like Andy Zula is like the best Grammy Award winner, blah blah blah. Your producing partner, but I love those. And then when you sent me the acoustic version, it's like, wow, I've been listening to these lyrics for so long. Because I've kind of been on the inside of this project for a little bit. But suddenly I was like, wow, listen to those lyrics. Like no wonder this story gets told so well. One thing we haven't talked about is your fabulous cast, although they're very unattractive and ugly. I don't know how an audience looks at them. Jolie Jenkins and Chuck Seculla, that must have been really hard to be around these people on set.
It is. They're so ugly and untalented. It's tough.
So ugly, so untalented. And I'm being facetious because they're both beautiful people and they're both so wonderful in the film. And then we should talk about your fourth co-star, who I think he has hope. I think there's promise here. George Takei is in the course of your musical short film, and you're going through what you go through, he plays kind of your life coach, George Omai. And how did that happen? Can you share a little, or what was it like to work with George Takei on set?
Well, first of all, everyone has to understand that's not familiar with the project that there's no spoken dialogue film. There's 3 spoken.
Important to say. You're right. Yes.
And that was intentional, obviously. And the only person that has any sort of vocal outpouring is me. And so George, Jolie, and Chuck, none of them have any sort of dialogue or anything, or singing or any type of communication. It's all done through body language and chemistry.
Right.
And I knew that when we were putting this sort of narrative I really want to have a figure in this film that is a paternal or maternal figure that sort of embodies the next generation, or sort of passing, or paying it forward, so to speak. That person that sort of embodies that, and somebody that sort of crosses every social class, everything who's beloved by every single person. First person I thought of was George, because of his his revival in his career over the past few years with social media and just everything, his ability, what he stands for as a human being, what he's done for our community, what he's done for the world. And just what he embodies. And he, to me, was like the perfect person for what I wanted to say. He was number 1 on my list. And we had other people, like, of course, like Ellen would have been great. Ellen or Whoopi Goldberg would be great. Those people, obviously, I mean, they're all like A-list people, and George is an A-list person too. And I thought, if we can't get George, then let's go to Whoopi Goldberg, or let's go to it's kind of pointless, really, but and then I thought, well, maybe Lily Tomlin, some people that everyone knows who sort of embodies something that's really sort of. I want to be whoever played this part. I want them to feel familiar, even if you've never met them before. And to me, that's what George possesses: is that you feel like you know him, even though you've never met him. And so I was fortunate. My good friend Stafford Arima, who you know as well, who's the director of Allegiance, which is George's Broadway musical that's on Broadway right now. I was in New York finishing these songs with Andy, and I said, I'm going to reach out to Stafford. And I said, would you feel comfortable about doing an email introduction, and I'll take it from there if you feel comfortable. I said, no, absolutely, which he did. And I sent him Constantly, the demo of Constantly, and a really short synopsis of the story that I wanted to tell and the way that I wanted to tell it with just music. And I didn't hear anything at first. It was probably like 2 weeks before I heard anything back. It happened to be at the same time that Sundance was happening. So he was at Sundance with his documentary. And so he was not even available, and they weren't really looking at anything, offers or any sort of propositions at that time. And so about 2 weeks after I sent the initial thing, I got an email back from his manager, and I sent over an offer, and he said yes. And I couldn't believe it. I was really.
Did you just die? Like
I did. I mean, I just thought, this is a moment that I'm being gift wrapped, and I need to take advantage of it to the full degree as I can. And I couldn't believe it. I felt like, okay, something's going to happen. It's going to come about where the day that we can shoot it's not going to work out. And so I basically we scheduled the whole thing around his availability, which was he had 1 week he was available. He's an incredibly busy man. I don't know how he does it. And he's like 78 or 79 years old now at this point. I don't know how he does it, but he's so active. And they were splitting time between New York and LA because Allegiance was in development, and so it was he just was a very, very busy man. So he had just one window this week, and so we said, great. So let's shoot him. Let's get a lot of the hard stuff out of the way, and let's shoot him towards the end of the week. And so we shot his stuff on Thursday, which is the second to last day of shooting, and he showed up on the set, and I mean immediately it was like a love fest. He just was the loveliest person, and we had never met or even spoken or anything at that point. And so it was all, I was having faith that we're going to have some chemistry and it's going to be fun and easy, and it was. It was exactly what I thought it would be, even better. And yeah, I was very, very fortunate to have that experience with him. And I think he brings such a warmth to the whole project, and he's exactly what it should be. And it's too bad that he doesn't get to use that voice that is so so resonant.
His iconic voice, yeah. I think he's been nominated for a Grammy Award for narrating a book or something. That voice is so iconic. What's interesting to me too about the entire thing is you kind of presented him with a little bit of a task because, as you mentioned, he doesn't have any spoken dialogue. So you show up on set and there's a storyline that you guys need to tell. There are scenes that you need to shoot, but it all has to kind of be improv. And he didn't blink at that. He just went, I'm assuming he didn't, you guys just went for it. Most actors, I would want to go, well, I want the script. I need to, memorize it before I get there, blah, blah, blah. George shows up and you have to explain this is what we need to get across, and we have to kind of improv right now for the next many hours.
There was a script in the sense that there was a shot list and there was a synopsis that we were following, the outline for the story. So I mean, and he did have that ahead of time. So he knew what the story was. He knew what his role was going to be. So that wasn't like a mystery, but there was no sort of reading down the scene together or anything like that before you would shoot something. It's this is the scenario, this is the whole setup, and let's go. And it really was just he was so committed to it. And I was very committed to it, obviously. And between the two of us, it just was we were in it. It was so easy. It was it was a breeze. It really was.
I think the connection really shows.
Oh, thank you. I think so too. It's really genuine. That's the thing. The last moment that we see him, which is when I thank him. It was such a sweet moment, and I have all that. Obviously, I have all that footage on film and stuff, and just to see all of it, it's just he's just lovely. He's so sweet, and he's so appreciative as well for being there. It wasn't like hurry up, let's go. And we had, I think in his contract he had 6 hours, I believe, is what his manager is what he asked for, is 6 hours, which was reasonable. It was fine. And we were getting up to, because we started early with him. We started him at the beginning of the day, and it was getting up to lunchtime, and we had a later lunch. And Ben, the director, was saying, we got to wrap because George has to get out of here. It's almost 6 hours. And George said who? And I said, well, it's in your contract that, we only have you for 6 weeks. He goes, you have me all day if you need me. It's fine. So it was just like, that's how he was, And I mean, we did not need him after lunch. We were done with him by the time we needed to be done. But he actually stuck around for like 3 hours after lunch and watched.
Oh, wow.
It was really sweet. He's very supportive and loving, and he's really a dear person, and I'm grateful. So.
And the postscript to this entire journey, kind of to wrap this up, is you finish the film, you decide to submit it to film festivals. And you were a little, I have to laugh out loud as I even say the sentence, you were a little successful there with the film festivals.
Well, thank you for saying that. I mean, I think we were like the little film that could. I mean, it was funny because we were
over 24 film festivals.
Yeah, something like 28 festivals.
28.
So far.
I mean, that's amazing for a short film, a short musical film.
And it's interesting because I think I mean, there were a few festivals I was kind of shocked that we did not get into. I'll be honest with you, if I'm being just completely upfront.
Mm-hmm.
But as I learned in this whole process, because look, the film festival world I'm completely foreign to that. I've never been a part of that. I've been to some film festivals, but I've never ever been, part of the whole process.
A producer, yeah.
A producer or even an actor in a film. I just have never been that. So the one thing I did learn about, one of the many things I learned is that, this particular project is very unusual. And people, some of the programmers, I don't think, they didn't know where to put it in their program because it is a musical, but it's not a traditional musical. Is it a music video?
There we go. That's the thing, right?
So it feels like a music video, and it plays like a music video at first. But if you don't watch the whole thing and you discount it as a music video, it's your loss because you're not. You really have to watch the entire 16 minutes to really get.
You really do.
The whole story of what just happened. So otherwise, it comes off as a really well-produced music video. But if you watch the whole thing, you see how all the songs are connected and the story keeps going, and it's unique. So I think a lot of times too, I think maybe some programmers didn't watch the whole thing, or maybe they just purely didn't know what to do with it because they knew it wouldn't appeal maybe to like this audience, and there wasn't a slot for it or whatever. And but overall, yes, we did really well. We were in the Cannes Short Film Festival, which was exciting. And we had our international premiere at the Mumbai Festival, which is a very reputable LGBT festival. And we just got asked by Amsterdam a couple of weeks ago.
Wow.
We have a Canadian premiere next week at the Montreal Festival. So it's been really wonderful. It's nice and knowing, and I've gotten messages from people that saw it at the festivals too, just to let me know how much they loved it. And the thing that's been interesting is I would say we've probably been in 50-50 mainstream and LGBT festivals. So it's we've been as many mainstream as we have been in the gay festivals, and I've been to several of them. And I remember our sort of festival premiere, which was on Valentine's Day, ironically. Was the Hollywood Independent Film Festival, and I went, and we actually ended up winning the LGBT Short Award at that festival. And
wow!
I was at the screening, and somebody came up to me after the screening. This group of these couples, two couples, how much they loved it. These straight couples, and they said, "Oh my God, so good! It was so relatable. We've all been there, and it's told so beautifully." And then I got like a few emails from that same festival from people that saw it, and I was just like, "Wow." I mean, it just, to me, that's what it's all about, is having that, relatability to, any audience is like, it's just wonderful. So I really, it's been really rewarding and eye-opening and on several levels. So
there's a whole lot of politics involved in some of these film festival things and blah, 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 like anything else. The people involved and what they may be thinking for that year or something. So
exactly.
You never know.
There are some. Yeah, I mean, there are festivals that do like themes for the year. So if like there was one festival I was really shocked we didn't get into, and then I found out that the theme was senior citizens in the LGBT community. Like that was sort of the running theme. And there's another one where the theme was like international films. Well, we don't really apply to any of those, and so what's interesting is like I had a friend of mine who's had a couple films in the festival, and he did tell me that initially. He said, "Don't get offended. this is, you know, you got to think of this and this and this. And I was like, yeah. And he's telling me that. And I'm thinking, he's just saying that to be nice so I won't get my feelings hurt. But lo and behold, that is the case. And there is just, you know, there's always so many stuff, you know, and especially like the smaller ones. Like, there are a couple smaller ones that we didn't get into, which I was like, what? I'll get to the meaning of this, and so I would just to get feedback, because it's good for me to know why something doesn't get into something, just for my own, just for educational purposes, so to speak. And that really like, there was one that like, we only have X amount of slots, and we just didn't have enough slots. We loved your film. It wasn't about the product. It was just there wasn't enough space for it. And so, you know, there's so many factors that go into it. You can't take it personally, even though it's hard. We put so much into it. But
I want to play one more song because I'm such a fan of the movie. Again, the movie is Hopeful Romantic. You can find it on iTunes.
Not hopeless.
Hopeful Romantic, because that's who Matt Zarley is. He's a hopeful romantic.
And don't forget, the easiest way to find out all information relating to Matt Zarley is to go to mattzarley.com. That's MATTZARLEY.com. How simple is that? To find more information about his musical short film, Hopeful Romantic, and all of his musical projects. We're going to close out the show with one more song from the film. This might be considered the title track to the movie. This is Hopeful. Good night, everyone.
Life was swiftly changing, my heart was rearranging. I'll keeping on. And though the pain was stinging, my soul was finally singing my favorite song. Oh, I visualize one day smiling back with the love in my eyes. And even though will always be a part of me, I think of that over and over again. Oh, we make me feel so hopeful. Oh, we make me feel so hopeful. Oh, now I see what I never knew, the lessons this taught me, and now I know I'm better for it. I can't help but feel before you. I never knew I could feel this way, because we were. I know I'll never be the same. I finally believe in possibilities. I think of that over and over again. Hey, I am feeling so hopeful. And I do